Hey my friends, this is Jose again, and on the 5-minute Bible Man, I want to teach you on how God's prescribed poverty will teach you His voice. That sounds very, very strange. First of all, no one likes poverty, and what God did for us, He might never do to you, but nearly 20 years ago, through a big process, I had a great job back at Telemundo Network. We had a paid off, mortgage-free condominium back in Miami, Florida. No credit card debt, 4 beautiful children, and you say, wow, you know what? You know, the Alvarez are like living the perfect American dream, but we were saying, we were bored. We were saying, God, is this all that is to life? I mean, is life going to be just work and then I go to church, work and I go to church? Is it going to be just a rat race for the rest of our lives? And my wife and I, Mary, we started to fast and pray, and God said to us, if you want to see the supernatural, because we were saying, God, where's the book of Acts? God said, if you want to see the supernatural, you got to live supernaturally. And through a process of 3 years, God told us to give away a paid off condominium, leave my job back at Telemundo. Again, I don't tell people to do this. This was a 3-year process of hundreds of hours of prayer, getting a confirmation from our pastors back in Miami, finding just the right people. It was a 3-year process before we launched out, but it took us out of this rat race and it took us out of the box. But we gave away this condominium to some friends of ours, and God called us to leave Miami. We packed up our van with our 4 kids, 8, 6, 4, and 2, and 9 duffel bags, and proceeded out westward. And God took us to New Mexico, which I had never been in. We were there for 8 years, and God took us through, in those 8 years, the first 2 years, God took us through a time of what I would call His prescribed poverty. I was not able to get a job in TV in New Mexico when we finally got there. I was only able to get little part-time jobs making $5 an hour. You know, and it was tough. I don't want poverty upon anyone, but it was in that time in which we had nothing else but the voice of God and the Word of God to sustain us and to provide for us, that I really learned to effectively hear God's voice. And I feel that sometimes we lean on so many material things, especially in the United States and in Europe. We lean on so many material things and so much money that we short circuit the process of effectively learning to hear God's voice by learning how to totally depend upon His voice and nothing else. So in my case, I just want to show you a few things that God did, and it taught me the amazing faithfulness of God, and how to utterly depend on His voice, hear His voice, and know that if you're obeying His voice, that you will always be like a cat that can be dropped from any ladder, but you will always land like on your on your 4 feet. One time we were back in New Mexico, and we were between 2 Native American nations of the Pueblo Indians, wonderful friends of ours now, the Santo Domingo Pueblo Nation and the Cochiti Pueblo Nation. Great people. But we had no washing machine. We were in a efficiency that God had provided for us supernaturally. We had $4 to our pocket. I had not been able to find a job yet, and I was late with my rent weeks. They were going to cancel my car insurance the next day. And my son Timmy was still in diapers, and we did not have money to buy him new diapers, nor did we have a washing machine, even if we had those horrible cloth diapers. So I was on my knees praying, and I said, God, I was not praying for money. Oh, I said to Mary, here's $4. That's all we had left. Go out and get us some peanut butter, some jelly, and just some bread. And then I got on my knees and I started to pray, and I was not praying for money. I was saying, God, I want to remind you that my son Timmy has one more diaper, and after that we have no more diapers for him. Well, as I was just on my knees praying, I was not praying for money, I was praying for diapers. My wife burst out screaming through the door. She had come back from the post office, and there was a check there for $10,000. It came from a family member back in Miami. It's a long story. But anyways, we got $10,000. We were able to pay off 2 months of rent, pay off the credit card bill that we had amassed coming into like New Mexico. That's one miracle. Another miracle was we had no money. We only had, as a matter of fact, flour and oil and tomato paste. And my wife had this excitement that if she made us breakfast with what was there, that God was going to provide lunch. Well, she made the most horrible tasting pancakes that I've ever had. Imagine, there's no salt, there was no pepper. It was flour and oil with some tomato paste. Horrible. But she fed that for breakfast, saying God will provide lunch for us. And we had adopted 2 little dogs that were living outside the house. And after we ate just a little that we ate, because I really couldn't stomach the pancakes, she said, well, let me give it to our little dogs outside. And when she opened the door, lo and behold, there was unopened cans of food with dog saliva all thrown on our yard. And it's amazing. We asked, peanut butter. There was peanut butter. There was beans. There was, my wife knows it, there was peaches, all that kind of stuff. And so we asked around because we did not want to steal from anyone. But our neighbors said, no, this, we don't know where this food came from. So just eat it. So God provided lunch like that for us. And when my wife was sharing this story on Christian TV, KCHF TV 11, where I used to work back in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and we're just saying hi to them right now. She was giving her story, and a lady who was our neighbor lived blocks and blocks away from us. She said, I know what happened. I had a lot of extra government food, and I had stacked it on my porch. And the miracle was that God sent those dogs back and forth, as with the story of Elijah and the ravens, to grab the food. And he fed us. One more example. We had no money to do laundry. As a matter of fact, we had designated one of our rooms as one of our bedrooms as the place to put all of our dirty laundry, and we had actually created just like a mountain. We had created a mountain like of dirty laundry, and we would have to reuse that laundry over and over again. And then we did some babysitting for one of our Native American friends, and she said, "Oh, you know what? Let me give you $20." So we were so excited because we were going to a church up in Santa Fe. I said, now we got money to do our laundry. So we put 17 bags of laundry, of garbage bags of laundry in our van and went up to Santa Fe. And during the message, and here we are with 6 people sitting on the front row. During the preacher's message, God says to me, leave. And I was shocked. I said, God says to me, leave. And I said, God, you know, I started to argue with God. I said, you know how rude it is to leave in the middle of a service and you're in the front row and the preacher's preaching and you're telling me to leave, and God said again, leave. So we felt so embarrassed. We kind of hung our heads down and we went back to the lobby, and there was a guy there that I never met. And he says to my 8-year-old girl, he calls her forward and he says to her, what is it? He says to her, come here. He says to her, come here, little girl. Imagine, I'm a father, and when you see a grown-up man beckoning your 8-year-old daughter to come to him, you say, wow, you know, I really have to watch this guy. But I kind of told her, go ahead. I was watching. My 8-year-old daughter goes to this man. This man pulls out $20 from his pocket and just gives it to her. Now we have $40. When we did the laundry and bought the detergent, it was $39.75. So what I'm telling you is, in our case, God took us through a period of prescribed poverty to effectively teach us to hear His voice. So I'm telling you, don't despise if you're pleasing to God and there's a period of poverty in your life. I think poverty, when it's planned by God and when you're doing right in the Lord, it's a blessing, because it takes out every physical thing that you have that just to depend upon, and it forces you to learn to hear and learn to depend upon His voice. Okay, my friends, we'll see you another time soon with the another teaching with the 5-Minute Bible Man.